Hello you us faces and welcome back to a new video. In this video I will show you how to kill faster in Call of Duty Mobile. If you follow these tips and tricks, you will be able to kill enemies before they even have time to react. Click the like button if I end up helping you with this video, and don't forget to hit the bell button if you choose to subscribe. Before we begin, I want to let you know that each of these categories are broad topics, and I have or will have videos that go into depth about each of them, so I recommend watching those after this video. So first off, we have sensitivity. I alternate between sensitivity for trickshotting, but this setup works well for me, and it may not for you. I will include my sensitivity on screen and in the description, but I recommend that you guys play with the settings and make your own custom sensitivity for your playstyle. The general rule of thumb is that you should have no problem tracking targets when hip firing or not aiming down sights. If you can do this, then your sensitivity, if you can't do this, then your sensitivity is either too high or too low. Keep adjusting until you get it just right. This may feel tedious, but in the end, it will be well worth it. And so right after that we have aiming. So these are a few of the things that you need to make sure you're doing when you're aiming. The first thing is centering, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically the way you point your crosshair in the most probable place the enemy will be.
So as you can see in this clip, I'm centering to where I predict the enemies will most likely be, and that little pink or purple square on that purple circle shows where I think they will be, and that's why I usually have my crosshair pointed in that direction so I can just snap onto them when they come there, so I'm not really having to worry about aiming.
So if you know an enemy is going to be coming out at the top of the stairwell, you would point your or center your crosshair in that general area. You don't have to scope in, but just put your crosshair in that general area so you're prepared for anything that happens. You want to do the hard work before the gunshot arises. It's kind of like the opposite of drag scoping. So if you were a sniper, try to imagine that you're drag scoping less when you're using an AR and centering. And also it's a good idea to center when sniping as well. Basically, you want to predict where your enemies will be, and after you play the game for a while, you'll be able to do this. Next is pre-aiming. Aim your sights down as you go around corners, and I do recommend getting stocks with assault rifle. The ability to shoot and aim, the shoot and aim button, is really helpful for pre-aiming, but I do recommend also having a aiming button along with this, like having the scope button to the side just in case you don't need to automatically shoot, because this leads us in the next. Pre-firing, firing in a predicted area, you want to shoot at the direction to stop their movement. So you just really don't want to do it too early, and that's a good reason that you should have that other scope, the regular scope, not just the scope that allows you to shoot and fire at the same time. And what I mean by shoot at the direction to stop their movement, if you know an enemy is coming, if you shoot at that direction, they're probably going to hear you, and you can actually deter your enemy from going there. It's basically like a chess move. They're either going to go in there and get shot because you're already firing, or they can go in another direction. You're basically protecting yourself, so it's a really good defense. And the next thing is headshots. Always aim for the head, well, the chest or the head. But at the same time, if your aiming skill is not that high, I don't recommend trying to aim only for the head. Just aim for the chest area. So it's really for you. It's really just how well of a player you are. So if you normally can't get headshots or your aim is not that good, I don't recommend always aiming for the head in games. If you want to get better at this, just go and make a private match and just practice with it. But really, try to aim for the upper body. The next thing is burst fire. You need to learn your weapon's predicted recoil and burst fire once you do that. This really just allows you to stop the weapon from firing really crazily, and it allows your shots to be in one area, and it really doesn't take away too much from the speed.
So right here I'm about to show you the AK's fire pattern. So if you look, it goes up when you shoot. So if whether I'm hip firing or I'm scoped in, you can see when you fire, it just basically goes up and then kind of makes a little zigzag Z at the top. And that's actually a pretty easy shape to deal with. You just gotta really make sure you push it down. But yeah, learn your weapon's fire shape. And once you do that, I recommend going and then burst firing. As you can see, when I tap really slowly, when I tap the button pretty fast, or the fire button pretty fast, I'm able to basically keep my bullets in one area compared to when I just, spray.
Last but not least, for aiming, snapshotting, and that basically means you want to shoot. You want to basically be able to lock onto your target really quickly and then shoot them pretty fast. So practice this anytime you get a chance. HUD. In a mobile game, button layout is very important, if not the most important factor. You should be completely comfortable using your HUD and have all of the buttons memorized. I recommend using the auto fire button because the speed it gives is so much faster than scoping in and aiming. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't use it, especially when it comes to snipers. I myself have taken up using the auto fire button for snipers because the regular scope in and shoot button is just so much slower compared to using the auto fire button, which is kind of sad. But anyway, the other thing about the HUD is you want to play claw. If you're not playing claw, I recommend you do so because yes, you can get the same effects and you can do the same things while using thumb, but claw makes it so fluid and so easy that yes, you can do it with thumb, but it just takes so much more effort. So if you want to learn claw, you can copy my layout and then you can go to my video I have on how I learned claw in less than a week, and that should help you learn claw pretty fast.
Okay, so this is my HUD layout. As you can see at the very top, I have my regular crosshair where I can just go in, my regular scope button. It's not as important as it used to be, but I still like to have it there, especially when I'm trick shotting or I need to, pre-aim or pre-fire. Next, we have my crouch mode where, it's really good for crouching and just go, if you crouch up and down really fast, it'll throw people off. After that, we have my little movement and my movement wheel. You don't really need to have too much in that area because if you have too much, it'll mess up which buttons you click. After that, I have my knife and I just have that there to click it quickly with my thumb if someone gets too close. Then I have my reload button, and that's nice, big and bold, so I can click it and I don't have to worry about not being reloaded. After that, my jump button, and after that, my regular fire button, so I can, hit it when I'm doing trick shots, and if someone also gets too close and I need to use the regular one. At the very top, we have the new fire button where you can drag and fire, and that is what I use from now on as my main fire button, but the other one is still important. So that's my HUD layout, and in the very top you'll see a title card to my how to learn claw in a week video if you don't know, so click to check that out.
Next, we have weapons. The best weapon will always be the difference between getting a kill or getting killed, and as of now I believe the best two weapons are the AK, the M16, the SM10. And I say the AK even though it's not as good as the M16 and the ASM10 because it's one of the first weapons you can get. Basically it's one of the first weapons you unlock, and it does very well against other weapons. And as for snipers, of course, the DLQ33 is the way to go. Most of the snipers, as I looked at them, they are basically have the same stats. The only difference is some may shoot a bit faster, but I recommend the DLQ33 because it really does get the job done pretty well. Simple. Most of the time it's one shot, one kill, and if you need to, it allows you to rapid fire. The shotgun, as of now, they're not really worth it, and the SMGs do well, but an AR is the best way to go in terms for just the most versatility. I can go into more detail on the weapons of this game, so just let me know in the comments if you want me to. PS, I recommend using a scavenger and a fast mag perk so you're not caught off guard when you're reloading. So next we have sound. Wear headphones and listen for players. Use this along with the map and pre-firing to maximize your speed. The sound will give away a player's location before the map does, and even when the map does not show it. So be sure to wear headphones and learn how to listen for an enemy's position. Well, that brings me to the end of this video, but once again, remember, sensitivity, aiming, HUD, weapons, and sound. Let me know in the comments which tip you had no idea about, which one you plan to implement first. Thanks for checking me out, and if this video did not help you, that's too bad, but I hope I can aid you next time. However, if it did, hit the like button, and if you want to see more of my content, subscribe and hit the bell button to get more COD Mobile news, tricks, and tips. Tygon out.
Standing by. Repeat, UAV recon is standing by.